The sudden pounding of rain against her office window made Camila Stone pause, the spreadsheet on her screen momentarily forgotten. She was 35, controlled billions in assets, and couldn't remember the last time she'd looked outside just to watch the weather. This was what her life had become: numbers, acquisitions, and the constant, nagging emptiness that her therapist insisted was loneliness, but Camila preferred to call focused independence. "Miss Stone, your 4 o'clock is here," her assistant's voice interrupted through the intercom. Camila sighed, smoothing her tailored charcoal blazer. "I don't have a 4 o'clock, Jenna. Check the calendar again." "Actually," Jenna's voice had that mischievous lilt that made Camila instantly suspicious, "this is the blind date I set up. Remember when you said I could have that extra week of vacation if I found you someone worth your time?" Camilla's fingers froze over her keyboard. "Cancel it, now. Too late. He's already in the reception area with flowers, and he looks really nice." Camila closed her eyes, mentally counting to 10. She'd spent the last decade building Stone Innovations into a tech empire worth billions. She didn't have time for blind dates with men who probably just wanted access to her money or contacts. "Tell him I had an emergency," Camila said firmly. "He brought his daughter," Jenna added quietly. "She's doing homework while waiting, looks about 7, really cute kid." Camila paused. "A child? What kind of man brings his child to a first date?" "Fine," she relented. 5 minutes, then I'm getting an urgent call from Tokyo." When Vincent Archer walked into her office carrying a modest bouquet of daisies, Camilla's practiced dismissal died on her lips. He wasn't what she expected. No designer suit or slicked back hair. Just worn jeans, a clean button-down shirt with rolled-up sleeves revealing strong forearms, and eyes so genuinely kind they made her uncomfortable. "Miss Stone," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Vincent Archer. Thank you for making time in your schedule. My friend Mark speaks very highly of you." His handshake was firm, his smile hesitant but warm. Camila found herself returning it before she could stop herself. "You brought flowers," she said, accepting the daisies. "And a child, I understand." "Lily," he nodded, a flash of worry crossing his face. "She's 8. My babysitter canceled last minute. I should have rescheduled, but Mark made this date sound like winning the lottery, so..." He shrugged. "I figured I'd rather come with Lily than not come at all. She's doing homework in your reception area. Your assistant seems to have a talent for long division." The honesty was disarming. No pretense, no game, just a man who showed up. "Please, sit down," Camila found herself saying, the Tokyo emergency call already forgotten. "Tell me about yourself, Vincent." "Most people call me Vince," he replied, settling into the chair across from her desk. "I'm a structural engineer. I design buildings that don't fall down, which is apparently a marketable skill." His smile was self-deprecating. "I'm also Lily's dad. That's the more important job." "And her mother?" Camila asked, professional curiosity getting the better of her. "Rachel passed away 3 years ago. Cancer." His voice remained steady, but his eyes reflected a pain that time had softened but not erased. "I'm sorry," Camila said, meaning it. "Thank you." He glanced around her corner office with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seattle. "So this is what success looks like, huh? Mark told me you built your company from scratch." "I did," Camila confirmed, surprised by his interest in her work rather than her wealth. "Started in my apartment with one app and a lot of caffeine. Now we have 500 employees." "That's impressive," Vince said, and she could tell he genuinely meant it. "What made you say yes to this blind date? You must have people lining up." The unexpected question made Camila pause. "I didn't say yes, actually. My assistant ambushed me." Vince laughed, a warm sound that somehow filled her sterile office. "That explains the confused look when I walked in. Well, since we're both here under false pretenses, how about we start over? Hi, I'm Vince, single dad, builder of things. Would you like to grab coffee sometime when you're not being ambushed and when I don't have an 8-year-old waiting outside?" Something about his straightforwardness, his complete lack of intimidation by her status, made Camila smile. "I'd like that." The door burst open and a small whirlwind with dark pigtails raced in. "Dad, Miss Jenna said you need to see this." The little girl thrust a math worksheet toward Vince. "I got all the problems right. That's amazing, Lily Bug." Vince's face transformed with pride, and Camila found herself studying this man who could look at a child's math homework like it was the most important document in the world. "But remember what we talked about knocking." "Sorry," Lily said, finally noticing Camila. "Are you the lady my dad's meeting? You're pretty. Do you like math too?" "I do," Camila replied, surprised to find herself charmed by this unexpected interrogation. "Math helps me run my business." "Cool," Lily nodded approvingly. "Dad says math builds everything important." "Smart dad," Camila said, catching Vince's eye. What started as coffee the following week turned into dinner. One dinner became weekly dinners, some with Lily, some without when Vince could find a reliable sitter. Camila learned that Vince had scaled back his career at a prestigious engineering firm to be more available for Lily after her mother died. Now, he consulted part-time and struggled to maintain their modest home in a neighborhood with good schools. "I could work more, make more," he explained one evening as they walked along the waterfront after dinner. "But Lily needs me there when she gets home from school. She's still processing Rachel's death in her own way. Some days are harder than others." "You're a good father," Camila said, meaning it. In the month she'd known him, she'd seen how he prioritized his daughter above everything, including potential career advancement and certainly above his own comfort. "I'm trying," he said simply. "Some days I feel like I'm failing at everything: work, parenting, maintaining the house. Rachel was always better at juggling it all." "From what I've seen, you're doing an extraordinary job," Camila said, surprised by the fierce protectiveness she felt toward this man who asked for so little yet gave so much. Their hands brushed as they walked, and Vince tentatively intertwined his fingers with hers. The simple gesture sent an unexpected warmth through Camila's chest. By their sixth date, Camila realized with alarm that she was falling for this man who lived in a world completely different from hers. Vince had no interest in the trappings of wealth or power that had always been the currency of her relationships. When she tried to take him to an exclusive restaurant, he'd seemed uncomfortable with the prices and suggested a family-owned Italian place instead, where the food was better and the owner knew Lily by name. "You don't have to impress me, Camila," he'd said quietly that night. "I already think you're amazing." The simplicity of his affection terrified her. What did she know about real relationships? About children? About the kind of life Vince led, where school projects and mortgage payments took precedence over board meetings and market fluctuations. So she did what she always did when faced with emotional uncertainty: she retreated. "I have to fly to Tokyo tomorrow," she told Vince one evening after they'd put Lily to bed following a movie night at his modest home. "It's a last-minute acquisition. I'll be gone for at least 2 weeks." "I understand," he said, though disappointment flickered across his face. "Will you call when you can?" "Of course," she promised, already knowing she wouldn't. Clean breaks were always better. Tokyo became London, became New York. 3 weeks stretched into 6. Camila immersed herself in work, ignoring the text messages from Vince that gradually became less frequent. This was better for everyone, she told herself. He deserved someone who could fit into his life, someone who knew how to be a partner and maybe even a mother figure to Lily. Someone unlike Camila, who had spent her adult life building walls around herself. It was a rainy Tuesday in April when she returned to Seattle, exhausted and trying to ignore the hollow feeling that success used to fill but somehow no longer did. She'd barely stepped into her penthouse when her phone rang. Miss Stone, her assistant's voice was uncharacteristically hesitant. "I know you just got back, but there's something you should know." "What is it, Jenna?" Camila asked, dropping her luggage by the door. "Vincent Archer was in an accident 3 days ago. Construction site accident. He's okay, but he broke his leg pretty badly. He's been in the hospital, and his daughter Camila felt her heart stop." "Lily, is she all right?" "She's fine physically, but apparently Mr. Archer doesn't have much family. His sister came from Portland, but she had to go back for work. They've been struggling with childcare while he's in the hospital." Without conscious thought, Camila found herself moving toward the door. "Which hospital?" "Seattle General, room 412. Camila hesitated only long enough to ask, "How do you know all this?" There was a pause before Jenna answered. Lily called the office looking for you last week. I've been checking in on them. The hospital corridor seemed endless as Camila made her way to room 412, her heart pounding with an unfamiliar anxiety. What right did she have to show up now after disappearing for weeks? Would Vince even want to see her? She paused outside his door, hearing a child's voice inside. Lily was reading aloud, stumbling over longer words but persisting with determination that reminded Camila so much of her father. Taking a deep breath, Camila knocked softly and pushed the door open. Vince was propped up in bed, his right leg in a heavy cast. Lily sat beside him on the bed, a book open on her lap. Both looked up, surprise registering on their faces. "Camila," Lily exclaimed, jumping off the bed and running to hug her waist. The unexpected embrace left Camila momentarily stunned. "You're back," Vince said quietly, his expression unreadable. "I just heard," Camila said, still awkwardly patting Lily's head as the child clung to her. "Jenna told me what happened. I came straight from the airport." "You didn't have to do that," Vince said, though something in his eyes softened. "Yes, I did," Camila replied simply. She gently disentangled herself from Lily. "How are you feeling?" "Like I had a steel beam fall on my leg." He attempted a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "But it could have been worse. Dad has to stay here for 3 more days," Lily informed Camila solemnly. "And then he can't work for 6 weeks. He's worried about money, but he thinks I don't know that." "Lily," Vince's voice held a gentle warning. "It's okay," Camila said, moving closer to the bed. "I want to help, Vince. Please let me." "We'll manage," he said firmly. "We always do." Camila recognized the pride in his voice, the same pride that had made him insist on paying for their dates, even when she knew it stretched his budget. The same pride that made him work so hard to provide for his daughter on his own. "Okay," she nodded, respecting his boundaries. "Then how about I help with Lily? I could take her to and from school, maybe stay at your place so she doesn't have to leave home." Vince looked surprised. "You do that? What about your company?" "I can work remotely," Camila said, realizing as she spoke that she meant every word. "Besides, I've been gone for 6 weeks. Stone Innovations is still standing. It can survive me stepping back a bit." That evening, after getting Vince's cautious agreement and retrieving a suitcase from her penthouse, Camila found herself in Vince's modest 3-bedroom home, helping Lily with homework at the kitchen table. The house was comfortable but showed signs of being maintained by a single parent with limited time, a dripping faucet, a loose cabinet door, walls that could use fresh paint. "Dad usually checks my math," Lily said, pushing her notebook toward Camila, "but you're probably even better at it." "Let's see what you've got," Camila said, reviewing the girl's careful work. "These all look perfect, Lily. You're really good at this." Lily beamed. "Dad says math is like building blocks for your brain." As she helped Lily prepare for bed, Camila was struck by how easily domestic tasks she'd never performed came to her, checking that teeth were properly brushed, finding the right stuffed animal, reading a chapter from the book Lily and Vince had been working through together. "Are you going to stay until Dad comes home?" Lily asked as Camila tucked her in. "Yes, if that's okay with you." "It's more than okay," Lily said, her eyes serious in the dim light of her bedside lamp. "Dad smiles more when he talks about you, even when you were gone." Camila felt her throat tighten. "I'm sorry I was gone so long. Dad said you have an important job saving companies." "Something like that," Camila smiled, "but I think I've been focusing on the wrong things." When Lily finally drifted off to sleep, Camila wandered through the quiet house, noting the family photos on the walls. Vince and a beautiful dark-haired woman, Rachel, holding a newborn Lily. Lily's school pictures through the years. Vince and Lily hiking, fishing, building a snowman. A life full of love and memories. On the kitchen counter, she found stacks of medical bills and insurance paperwork. A calculator sat beside them, along with a notepad full of calculations and a half-drafted email to Vince's mortgage company requesting temporary payment adjustments. Camilla's chest ached. This proud, capable man was drowning financially, yet he'd refused her help. Not because he was stubborn, but because he'd spent 3 years figuring out how to stand on his own as a single parent. Accepting help meant admitting he couldn't do it all, a vulnerability he rarely allowed himself. The next 3 days established a routine. Camila would wake early, make breakfast for Lily, drive her to school, then work remotely from Vince's dining room table while handling as many household tasks as she could manage. Fixing the dripping faucet required a YouTube tutorial and 3 attempts, but the sense of accomplishment when the dripping finally stopped was greater than closing her last $1 million deal. She visited Vince each afternoon, sometimes bringing Lily after school, sometimes going alone during Lily's after-school activities. The awkwardness between them gradually dissolved as they fell into conversations about Lily, about books they'd read, about dreams they'd put aside. "Why did you disappear?" Vince finally asked on his last day in the hospital, while Lily was down the hall getting ice cream with a nurse who'd befriended her. Camila looked down at her hands. "I was scared." "Of what?" "Of how much I cared about you, about Lily." "I don't know how to be part of a family, Vince. I've spent my entire adult life building my company, that I understand, relationships, being responsible for a child's emotional well-being. That terrifies me." Vince reached for her hand, his calloused palm warm against hers. "You think I'm not scared?" "Every single day I worry I'm messing up with Lily, that I can't be both parents, that I'll fail her somehow. Being scared isn't the problem, Camila. It's whether you run away from what scares you or toward it." His words settled deep in her chest. "I ran away." "Yes," he said simply. "But you also came back." Bringing Vince home the next day was a logistical challenge. His house had stairs, and he couldn't navigate them easily on crutches. With Lily's help, Camila had rearranged the downstairs office into a temporary bedroom, moving in the bed from the guest room upstairs. "You've been busy," Vince commented as she helped him settle in. "Just practical solutions," Camila shrugged, though his appreciative smile made her feel unexpectedly proud. As days turned into weeks, Camila fell into the rhythm of their household. She continued working remotely, taking video calls from Vince's dining room while he rested, or did physical therapy exercises in the living room. Lily thrived with the stability of having 2 adults fully present in her life. "You don't have to keep staying here," Vince said one evening after Lily had gone to bed. He was more mobile now, able to move around the house on crutches with increasing confidence. "I'm sure you miss your penthouse." Camila looked around the living room, where her laptop sat beside Lily's science project, where her expensive shoes had been kicked off next to Vince's crutches. "Actually, I don't miss it at all." The realization surprised her as much as it seemed to surprise him. "In fact," she continued, gathering her courage, "I'd like to talk about making this arrangement more permanent." Vince's expression grew guarded. "What do you mean?" "I mean I love you," Camila said, the words she'd never spoken to any man tumbling out with surprising ease. "I love Lily. These weeks have shown me what I've been missing while I've been building my empire. A home, a family, people who care about what kind of day I had, not what kind of deal I closed." Vince was quiet for so long that Camila felt her confidence wavering. Had she misread everything? "I love you too," he finally said, his voice rough with emotion. "But Camila, our lives are completely different. You're a billionaire CEO. I'm a part-time structural engineer with a mortgage I can barely afford and a child who depends on me for everything. How does that work long-term?" "However we want it to," Camila said, moving to sit beside him on the couch. "I don't need my penthouse or my corner office to be happy. I need this you and Lily and this home you've created. I can run my company from anywhere. The money doesn't matter." "It matters when there's such a huge imbalance," Vince said. "I don't want to be the guy who lives off his girlfriend's fortune." "Is that what you think this is about?" Camila asked, genuinely confused. "Vince, you've given me something no amount of money could buy: a family. A place where I belong. If anything, the imbalance is in my favor." He searched her face, seeming to find the sincerity he was looking for. "You really mean that, don't you?" "With all my heart," she replied. Their kiss was gentle at first, then deepened with all the emotion they'd both been holding back. When they finally broke apart, Vince kept his forehead pressed to hers. "So what happens now?" he asked. "Now we figure it out together," Camila said, "day by day." The following months brought adjustments for all of them. Camila officially moved in, converting part of the garage into a home office. She restructured her work schedule to be present for Lily's school events and family dinners. Vince returned to work part-time as his leg healed, then surprised Camila by proposing they start their own engineering and development firm together, combining his structural expertise with her business acumen. "Are you sure?" Camila asked when he first suggested it. "I don't want you to feel pressured." "I'm sure," Vince said confidently. "We'd be equal partners. My designs, your business sense, creating sustainable, affordable housing for families who need it most." The project ignited a passion in both of them. Stone Archer Developments launched 6 months later, with a mission to build environmentally sustainable, affordable housing communities. Vince's innovative designs paired with Camila's financial backing and business network created immediate buzz in the industry. 1 year to the day after Camila had first stumbled into Vince's hospital room, she sat on the back deck of their home, now renovated, but still modestly comfortable, watching Vince and Lily plant vegetables in their garden. "Did you ever think this is where we'd end up?" Vince asked, joining her on the porch swing while Lily continued digging in the dirt, chattering happily to the earthworms she was discovering. "Never," Camila admitted, leaning against his shoulder. "I thought success meant bigger buildings, more acquisitions, larger profit margins. And now?" She looked at Lily, now 9 and thriving, who had taken to calling Camila bonus mom after deciding stepmom sounded too much like fairy tale villains. "Now I know success is this," she said, gesturing to their home, the garden, the life they'd built together. "It's family dinner conversations and helping with homework and building something meaningful together." "Speaking of building something together," Vince said, his voice taking on a hint of nervousness, "I've been thinking about our family." "Oh," Camila turned to look at him. "Lily asked me last week if we might give her a little brother or sister someday," he said, watching her reaction carefully. "I told her that was something you and I would need to discuss." Camila's heart skipped. "And what do you think about that idea?" "I think," Vince said, taking her hand, "that you're the most amazing bonus mom I could have ever hoped for Lily. And I think you would be an incredible mother to another child if that's something you want." Tears sprang to Camila's eyes. "I never thought I wanted children. I never thought I could balance motherhood with my career. But being with Lily, with you, it's shown me I can do both, that I want to do both." Vince's smile was radiant. "So that's a yes." "That's a yes," Camila nodded, laughing as he pulled her into an embrace. "Dad, Camila, look what I found." Lily called, racing toward them with muddy hands cupped around something. Together they examined Lily's treasure, a tiny sprouting seed that had taken root in the garden. "See, it's growing even though nobody planted it here," Lily explained. "It just found a good spot and decided to grow." Camila met Vince's eyes over Lily's head, both recognizing the accidental metaphor for their own family, something beautiful growing in unexpected soil. That night, after Lily was asleep, Camila sat in their bedroom reviewing architectural plans for their newest housing development while Vince showered. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jenna. "Hope you're not working too late. Board meeting still on for Friday." Camila smiled, typing back, "Only reviewing for 10 more minutes. Yes to Friday, but I'll need to leave by 3 for Lily's science fair." Vince emerged from the bathroom, his hair damp. "Still working, just finishing," she said, setting aside her tablet. "Did you ever imagine when you walked into my office that day that we'd end up here?" He sat beside her on the bed. "Honestly, no. I was just hoping for a decent conversation with a woman who wouldn't mind that I came with an 8-year-old attachment. And instead you got a workaholic billionaire who didn't know the first thing about family life." Camila laughed. "I got the love of my life," Vince corrected, kissing her softly. "And Lily got a bonus mom who helps with math homework and remembers to put extra carrots in her lunch because they're her favorite. I'm thinking of cutting back my hours even more once we start trying for a baby," Camila said, the decision forming as she spoke. "I want to be present." "Really present? You already are," Vince assured her, "but I support whatever you decide. That's how partnerships work." As they turned out the lights and settled into bed, Camila reflected on how completely her life had transformed since that rainy afternoon when her assistant had ambushed her with an unexpected blind date. The woman she had been then driven solely by professional ambition, measuring worth in dollars and market share, seemed like a stranger now. In finding Vince and Lily, Camila had finally found herself not just a CEO or a billionaire, but a woman capable of loving and being loved, of building a family as carefully and intentionally as she'd built her company. "I love you," she whispered into the darkness. "I love you too," Vince replied, his arm tightening around her waist. "All $1 billion of you." Camila laughed, pinching his side playfully. "That's not why you love me." "No," he agreed, his voice growing serious. "I love you because you came back when it was hard. Because you see Lily for the amazing person she is. Because you care more about people than profit margins, even if you pretend otherwise in board meetings." In the room across the hall, Lily slept peacefully, her life forever changed by the unexpected family that had formed around her. And downstairs, on Vince's desk, lay the adoption papers that would legally make Camila Lily's second parent the final piece in their family puzzle that they would present to her on her upcoming birthday. From an ambushed blind date to a family bound by choice rather than obligation, Camila smiled in the darkness, knowing with absolute certainty that all her billions couldn't buy what she had found for free. True love, a family, and the knowledge that home wasn't a penthouse with a view, but wherever Vince and Lily were.